and Ronak. ठीक है ना? तो YouTube पे we'll start telecasting very soon. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yes. Hi everyone. We'll be shortly beginning the session. So I would request if because we have a lot of people who are joining us in the waiting room. So I would request if there are friends of yours who have not yet joined in and are interested at Samagra, you can just quickly ping them. We'll be beginning in the next, 90 seconds or 120 seconds approximately. I'll just, kind of lay the house rules. Please ensure that you are on mute. Your audio is on mute, right? And thanks a lot. A lot of you have already switched on your videos. That's lovely to see because as people who are kind of discussion to our office this week itself. Just a second. Yeah. So people who are taking time out from busy schedules to address all of you would love to kind of see, that the faces of people that we're engaging with. It's always lovely to have these sessions conducted in that manner, right? It would be lovely to see a few more of you also switching on your videos. And again, quickly a nudge to all of you to ensure that you are on mute as well. Yeah. So we'll just begin in the next minute or so. So just give me a moment and I'll just shortly be with all. All right. Hi everyone. This is Venkatesh Chaturvedi, and with me I have Manisha Yadav, a senior manager at Samagra, and both of us would be, taking this session ahead with all of you. Quickly before we begin, because a lot of you have just joined in, please ensure that your videos are on so that we can, see you and we can engage with you. We can make it as interactive as possible. And secondly, please ensure that you are on mute. All right, perfect, awesome. Let me introduce myself, and we'll do a quick activity. With in the meantime, others join in. So I am Venkatesh. I am currently leading the outreach and the recruitment initiatives at Samagra. I'm a senior consultant here by designation. Been with the firm for about 3.5 years. Right. Prior to this, I basically graduated from IIT Patna as an electrical engineer. Worked with Unacademy, which is an edtech platform, for about 5 years. Did my MBA from ISB Hyderabad campus, and since then I've been with Samagra in the CEO's office or the central team of Samagra. Right. It's a pleasure coming here, interacting with so many of you, from different walks of life. Right. Let me quickly share my screen. What I would request you all to do is, this is the map of India, right? Just pinpoint using annotate the say the area, maybe the city, the state that you all are coming from. I think we'll get a fair representation of where all of you are from. Would be just very interesting to see that. All right, so I see a lot of people from right Tamil Nadu, people from Madhya Pradesh, a lot of from Delhi. I think Delhi NCR region. We have always seen terms in terms of the number of people coming from that area. A lot of you from Mumbai region as well. I see. Okay, some of you are from Assam, the northeast. Lovely to see you all coming from that region as well. All right, perfect, perfect. Okay, some people from Jharkhand, from some from Odisha, so, a lot of people from West Bengal as well, right? Yes, great. Okay, perfect. Good to see this, kind of, colorful display of locational, diversity that we see. And I also see people marking outside India. So I'm assuming that people are from somewhere in Europe, some are in US, also looking to come back and work for, the development of India, right? Great, great, awesome. Okay, so I'll stop sharing now, right? And yeah, I've taken that screenshot as well. Lovely to see a lot of you from different areas. And okay, I see a lot of people putting up in the chat Uttarakhand, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal as well. Lovely. Very, very nice to see that. All right. Great. So I would hand it over to Manisha. She is there to take a presentation. She'll introduce herself, and then we'll, quickly go through the content of the presentation today. The idea essentially is to take you through, about Samagra, take you about the different roles that we have opening, the process itself. So all of those things, I'm sure that a lot of you have questions about. So we'll be covering all of that in the next, say, half an hour or so. In the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat, right? So we are actively moderating the chat. So feel free to put the questions in the chat itself. As and when those questions, the time will occur, many of those questions will get addressed. But if not, we'll be ensuring that towards the end, we'll be taking all the questions from the chat, as well as, give opportunity to some of you to ask a few questions towards the end as well, right? So yeah, hold on to your horses. Ensure that you are asking the question in the chat and not unmuting yourself in between the session. Otherwise, it kind of disrupts the flow of the session. Over to you, Manisha, for taking us ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Venkatesh, and good evening, everyone. It's so good to see all of you joining in from the length and breadth of the country. I'm very happy to be doing this session with you. Now, I am currently, as Venkatesh mentioned, senior manager, part of the leadership at Samagra, currently leading 3 programs across domains. One is child nutrition, the second is in agriculture, and third is benefit delivery. And before coming to Samagra, I did my undergrad from in physics. Definitely wanted to take a very different route in life than where I have landed. So in case you wonder that you currently don't have the clarity, I can share that example that I also at some point didn't. But post my undergrad, I realized that I definitely want to be in the professional setup space. So did my MBA from IMA, then worked across sectors from professional services to agri-tech startup. And my last stint was in HUL as the customer development manager for the modern trade business. And it's been close to 3 years now at Samagra. So that's a little bit about me. What I'm going to be doing in the next 30 minutes is give you a very deep inside view of what Samagra really is about. How do we operate here so that you have a good insight into the kind of work that we do and what is in it for you, right? And that's also gives you really the lens of what the reality and the expectation mismatch is really not there at all when you sort of apply to an organization. But before I get into the content of the presentation, there's a 6-minute video that we're going to be playing that really, in the very sharpest manner, describes the kind and diversity of the work that we do and the approach that we follow. So I request Venkatesh to play this video first, the Samagra video, and then we'll get to the content bit.
Introducing Sangeeta, Shivansh and Sarita. Sangeeta is a small-scale farmer in the Puri district of Odisha who earns a little over 1 lakh per annum. Shivansh is a grade 3 student in the Unnao district of Uttar Pradesh who is a grade competent student. Sarita is a contractual Group D employee in the Rewari district of Haryana who currently avails a monthly salary of roughly 15,000 rupees. But the lives of Sangeeta, Shivansh and Sarita weren't always like this. A few years back, Sangeeta dreamt about having a better life for her family by being able to increase her annual income. Similarly, Shivansh dreamt about performing well in his class by being able to easily read and solve basic maths. And Sarita, she dreamt about getting her monthly salary on time.
Sangeeta, Shivansh and Sarita are not alone. Almost each and every Indian aspires for a better tomorrow. At Samagra, we have made that as our mission, to improve the quality of life of citizens through better governance. For far too long as a country, we have had a lot of potential. It's high time now that we realize that potential. If we have to become a developed country or a Viksit Bharat by the time we turn 100, it's imperative that we meet the aspirations of our 150 crore people. We firmly believe that governance is a key lever of change. We also believe that if India has to transform from a governance perspective, it has to be state by state by state, with Government of India playing an enabling role. Therefore, we are focused on working with the political executive and the bureaucratic leadership across states in India on deep system reforms or systemic transformations. We started off with a very different model, which was we used to work with MPs and MLAs and support them with different aspects of constituency development. So, जहाँ से भी वो elect हो रहे हैं, how do you facilitate development in that region? So, we started working with MPs across party lines in 8 different states in the country. This was 2013, 14, part of 2015. The larger learning from that phase was state is where you can really conceptualize, design things, and at the same time have a very direct control on implementation. So, we pivoted in 2015 to our current model, where we work with the political and the bureaucratic leadership at the state level. Our approach over the years has been a combination of 3 things: a top-down management consulting approach for problem structuring, a very grounds-up understanding of the governance ecosystem for solution design, and appropriate use of technology and data to enable the large-scale implementation of these solutions. We really believe when these 3 things come together, that's when magic happens. And this approach is manifested in the day-to-day working of our teams.
Our USP in working with governments is threefold. First, the ability to come up with practical solutions that are implementable at scale. Second, the ability to drive large-scale change management in government system. And finally, the third, the ability to leverage technology to push the envelope in governance.
We work with the state when there's a clear pull. That means there's political will on a topic and there's a bureaucratic champion who's been mandated to drive the transformation. Once the pull is there, then we co-create a transformation roadmap together with the state. These transformation roadmaps are often a combination of policy unlocks, administrative or management levers, technical or domain-specific interventions, and technology enablers. And then we are there through a 3 to 5 year period to catalyze the implementation of this roadmap till the time statewide measurable outcomes are achieved and things become sustainable in the system.
Based on this model, over the years, we have worked on 25 plus systemic transformation programs cutting across geographies and domains such as agriculture, school education, benefit delivery, skilling and employment, healthcare, financial inclusion, and so on. For instance, our work in agriculture in Odisha has impacted more than 75 lakh farmers in the state.
In 2018, there was an outbreak that affected most of the state's paddy crop. We're working with Samagra. They started to register those farmers. And now they literally have a control center. You know, when you walk in, you think, wow, this is agriculture, but you know, you've got a command center and maps and people doing queries and sending out messages. And I felt very much at home.
Similarly, our work in Haryana on benefit delivery impacted all the 2.7 crore citizens of the state.
गौरव गोयल जी का अपना एक बहुत बड़ा सहयोग इसमें हमको मिला है। चीजों को कैसे एफिशिएंट करना, कैसे फास्ट करना, कैसे नए आइडिया, कैसे टेक्नोलॉजी के साथ इसको आगे जोड़ना, बढ़ाना, इनकी पूरी टीम.
All our systemic transformation programs are powered by Samagra X, the umbrella under which we do all our GovTech and DataGov work. We have also embarked on a Gov.ai mission through which we aim to drive at-scale use cases of AI in governance in India over the next decade. We really believe in the power of AI to enable personalization at scale and to meet the needs of our diverse citizens where they are. Beyond all of this core work, we believe that the best minds in the country are needed to solve the complex governance challenges that India is facing today. Towards this end, we are driving a couple of ecosystem initiatives that are aimed at galvanizing the young, bright minds of India towards the governance space. The Governance Challenge is one such initiative. It is a unique competition targeted at students studying in the topmost postgraduate institutes across the country, which sensitizes them towards the governance space in an immersive manner. Code for GovTech or C4GT is another such initiative that is catalyzing a community of open source contributors and connecting them to organizations that are either building or adopting digital public goods across the country.
Over the years, in collaboration with governments and multiple other partners, lives of Sangeeta, Shivansh, Sarita, and crores of citizens like them have been impacted through our work. And now we are focused on making our contribution towards the Viksit Bharat. Come join us in this journey and commit yourself to nation building. As we say at Samagra, राष्ट्र निर्माण के यज्ञ में हमारी भी एक आहुति होनी चाहिए.
Great. Thank you, Venkatesh. What I'll quickly do is share my screen and you can just confirm if it's visible.
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, great. And I hope the side panel is not visible and only the slide.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay, great. So that video gave you a gist of exactly the diversity of programs, what our approach overall is. What we'll be doing is really double clicking and unpacking what was mentioned in the video, right? So who are we as an organization? Samagra is a mission-driven governance consulting firm, and there's a lot to unpack. So let me go one by one. When we say mission-driven, by mission-driven, we really mean that the mission that we are working towards is for the quality of life of citizens through governance. And when we say governance, the unit of change that we have picked up is the state governments primarily. While there are some central programs that we do, but we really believe that state is where the right amount of action is happening, where both design and implementation come together and the bureaucrats are really able to drive that change. And we're a consulting firm, so we basically offer management consulting as a service to the bureaucrats. So we are a mission-driven governance consulting firm, with our mission being that to improve the quality of life of citizens through governance, with the state of unit of change being the state governments, offered through management consulting. So that's briefly who we are as an organization. Now let's quickly look at the approach that we follow at Samagra. At Samagra, we first take a very top-down management consulting approach. Now, what that means, all the problem statements that we take are very amorphous, are very ambiguous in nature. So we really break down the problem statement through the consulting methods that have been customized for governance. So that's to break down each of the problem statement through in a very structured manner. Then there is a bottom-up understanding of the governance ecosystem actors that we use for designing solutions for them. So at the top, we've broken down the problem statement. It was a big ambiguous piece. And then we are also leveraging the field insights, the user understanding, very, very bottom ecosystem understanding of governance to create solutions. And to bridge these two, which is the problem to the solution, the lever is really the extensive use of right data-backed decisions as well as technology levers, because that will eventually help us reach the scale. So that's broadly the approach that we follow for any problem statement that we are working in Samagra at. Now, what are the kind of problems that we solve? Some of these you would have already read in the newspapers almost. The first is, to give you an example, we are really reimagining how courts are in India. So through our work in the High Court of Kerala, we've reimagined what the journey for a person is going to look like when they enter the judiciary system. And that's coming from something that you would have already heard, that most of the cases are pending at the judiciary, and Tariq pe Tariq is a very real thing that happens. So that's one piece of work. The second example is in UP, which is improving student learning outcomes. You would have read headlines like that, there are learning outcomes in the states are dropping, children are lagging behind in foundational literacy. That's the piece of work that we are doing in Uttar Pradesh. The third example is from Andhra Pradesh, where the entire scheme and benefit delivery now we want to undertake the paradigm of it being reactive and the onus being on the citizen to know which scheme should I apply for, to proactive scheme delivery. If you are a senior citizen, ideally you should be getting auto enrolled for pension. The citizen should not have the onus of really applying for that scheme and then getting the benefit. And the last one is, how do we ensure that the farmers have the right information symmetry as well as the right data and tools to be able to double their income? So these are some of the examples of the problem statements that we are currently working on or have worked in the past. If I have to give you a very zoomed out view, presently, there are 9 programs which are cross-cutting across the domains that you see on the screen, from artificial intelligence to benefit delivery, agriculture, education, health, that we are undertaking. And the geographical spread is across 4 states. And these 4 states are Uttar Pradesh, where we have 2 of our programs. Then we have Odisha, Maharashtra, and we also have Andhra Pradesh in the mix. Right? So that's briefly about the domain and the geographical spread. Now let me really go deep and take the example of one program, that how do we go about solving any problem. Let me take the example which is probably most intuitive to us, which is education. Now, in the example that I was sharing earlier, in Uttar Pradesh, we are working on this concept of foundational literacy and numeracy. For some of you who've not heard of the concept, foundational literacy and numeracy is applicable for grade 1 and grade 2 students. So these are the foundational years of a child's life where they are learning to read. After that, you actually read to learn. So these are the most critical years of a child in which they really have to get the outcomes right. So the goal that we have taken is that we want to ensure that all government school students in grade 1 and 2 in Uttar Pradesh become FLN, which is Foundational Literacy and Numeracy, competent by March 2027. Now, this is important to note that it's an outcome-focused goal. It's not just related to an input delivery, that we are not just streamlining a scheme. It's also not related to that, oh, we'll conduct so many sessions for the teachers in these schools. It's the outcome, and the outcome is statewide, not for a particular district level intervention. It's not for a block. It's statewide, that 100% of the government school students in grade 1 and 2 in UP, till the time they don't become FLN competent, that means that the goal has not been achieved. So this is the goal of the program that we've taken. Now, how are we going about solving this goal? First level in itself, which is the theory of change in our terminology. So each of the programs will have a goal and will also have a theory of change. Theory of change is the critical pillars of interventions. So we already looked at the goal. Now let's look at the theory of change that we are deploying for Nipun Bharat. First is just defining the goal and role clarity. Now, what does it even mean to become FLN competent? For that, I first need to define the lakshya or the competency for each of the students. That when you're able to do single digit mathematics, subtraction and addition, then you're FLN competent in mathematics. For English, you should be able to read certain letter words at a certain fluency. Right? So this is the kind of definition, which is what we have been able to create as Nipun Lakshya. Now, one is creating the definition, but then each of the system actors should know what their goal and role is to be able to get the children to Nipun. Now, for schools, the primary system actor is the teacher. So the teacher should know about the competency and should also know exactly how she needs to enable this mission. So that's the role clarity. She already knows the goal, that I have to make 100% of the children in my class as Nipun. And the role is basically describing how does she go about doing that. The same goal then gets cascaded up. From a teacher, it gets cascaded up to the headmasters of all the schools. The goal for the headmaster is to make the school Nipun. Above the headmaster, there is a block officer. For the block officer, it is to make all the vidyalayas and the schools Nipun. Above the block officer, there's a district officer. The district officer's goal is to make all the blocks Nipun. And once all the district officials, they meet their goal, then the state will become Nipun. So there's a goal, there's a very sharp, tangible, measurable goal that we have picked. And then we have also cascaded that goal across all the system actors. And for each of the system actors, there is a defined role that they have been assigned to achieve the mission. So that's the first fundamental pillar of the theory of change. Coming to the second pillar, which is inputs. We have defined the what. Now let's define how. So for teachers, there are three sets of interventions that we are giving as inputs to empower them to achieve the Nippon goal. First is creating a very structured pedagogy. In the month, what is the kind of calendar that they have to follow? What is the methodology that they have to follow to teach the children? Second, doing their trainings regularly with the right frequency as well as in the right format so that they are always equipped in terms of the content and also how to make the child Nippon. And third is supportive supervision. Now for teachers, we have also created a separate cadre called mentors. Mentors' primary role is to visit each of the school at least once in a month and guide the teacher on how they can do better teaching. It's almost like coaching them based on the style, their current areas of focus, as well as giving them real mentoring in terms of where they're going good and what can be improved at the teacher level as well as at the school infrastructure level. So that's defining the inputs for them. The second is, how do you empower the teacher to also be able to be up to speed on her progress? How does she know how am I doing? For that, there is a measurement tool called Nipun Lakshya application. Now, if you try to remember, let's say, your school days when digital assessments were not there, the papers were created by the teachers themselves. And when I say the assessment of it and the checking of the papers, that in itself comes with a lot of subjectivity and burden for the teachers. And here we're talking about government schools, right? So you can only imagine the kind of magnitude that they have or in terms of the workload. And the subjectivity layer will always misclassify children which are Nipun as not Nipun and vice versa. There could be a real possibility. So we've really taken that subjectivity out of the assessments and made assessments very objective through this application. This application in itself is integrated with Google Read Along, where the teachers just have to press a child can read the sentence, and that application will then assess whether the sentence or the enunciation is correct or not. Of course, Google Read Along in itself had to be very contextualized. We had to tweak the right dialects, feed in the right pronunciations of Uttar Pradesh to make it to the level where it currently is. But this is what really enables the teacher to be able to assess a child in a month, almost on a monthly basis. Otherwise, the assessments typically happen once a quarter, once in 6 months, and then the ship is really sailed. So we've given that thermometer in the hand of the teacher so that she is able to progress, make a sense of her progress real time. The third is a very critical lever. All the three pillars that we have talked about so far, which is the goal and role clarity, inputs and measurement, they're only going to work if there is motivation in the cadre. If if the teachers and the system actors, they are motivated. So for motivation, we have really created a gamification model where we are celebrating the victory of each of the teachers who have become Nipun through Nipun Vidyalaya. So once a Vidyalaya or a school is declared Nipun, then at the district level, there is a big ceremony with the district collectors called the Samman Samagra, where the teachers are felicitated, their victory is celebrated, and the Ghoshna happens that they have really achieved something big. So that acts as a big lever of motivation. All of this is supported by a very robust layer of review and monitoring. Now, in review and monitoring, there are three key pillars. So there are data-backed reviews, which are cascaded at the right level. So the headmasters are going to review the teachers, the block officers are going to review the headmasters, the district officials are going to review the block officials, and the state is going to review the district. All of this is done on data, so dashboards which have been populated, and not on what the other person is saying. It's not hearsay, it's not on the subjective statements they're giving, it's primarily happening on where the outcomes are. All of this is, like I'm saying, supported by this NBMC dashboard, which is Nipun Bharat Monitoring Cell dashboard. And lastly, to nudge the system actors which are not performing well, a call center has been set up, which is called the Vidya Samiksha Kendra, so that the officials who are at the bottom, they get the nudges through this call center. Then there are two other pillars. So communication is one horizontal pillar. Each of this needs to be repeated again and again and again. You can imagine the kind of scale we are dealing with. They're roughly, 1 lakh or 40,000 odd teachers. So each of the things has to be cascaded down to that level. So it needs to be repeated both in offline as well as online mode. And the last pillar is owning the district. So each of the team members actually owns a particular district's outcomes and drives these KPIs on a monthly level. So this is the deep dive of how one program looks like and how do we go about solving such a big goal that we have taken up at the state level, right? Now, this is primarily on the program side of things. There are two functions or verticals in the org that support the program teams. The first vertical is called Samagra X, which was also mentioned in the video, because to be able to reach the users at scale, technology is a very critical lever. So we do work at the cross section of that governance and tech space. There are three core functions that it currently delivers. First is product design in itself, right? So product design, to give you an example, is the Nipun Bharat Monitoring Center. How should this center look like? What are the kind of KPIs that we need to define? What should be the data visualization for the system actors? What should also be the feedback surveys and the nudges that we are doing through this? So the overall design of this Nipun Bharat Monitoring Center is something that the program team co-creates with the Samagra X team, who is able to bring in the lens of the product, right? If I talk about the second bit, the second vertical, which is called gov.ai. Now, under gov.ai, we are also being at the forefront of the AI use cases that are being used in the ecosystem. So two of the examples that you see on the screen, first is from Nipun Lakshya app, where we have used AI to be able to generate the right questions for doing the assessments in the Nipun Lakshya application. The second example is of Kumbh Sahayak, where Kumbh Sahayak AI was used to guide the visitors who came in Mahakumbh this year to be able to navigate the space. So these are some of the examples, and we also have a dedicated AI-based program that we are doing in Odisha at the moment. And the last one is tech management. Most of the programs, they already have a tech team or a tech product that is running. So the X team also helps in taking that user journey, really navigating the stakeholders at the government level and taking the right decisions for the tech management that needs to happen on a recurring basis. So that's the first vertical that's very closely works with the program team. The second critical vertical is the design vertical. Why? Because we really need to understand our users well. If you remember, I had mentioned the bottom-up understanding of the governance ecosystem of the users that comes from this design team. So there are again three functions, core functions that the design team sort of helps the program team with, which is to know your citizen, whosoever you're designing for, bring that sharp user centricity lens, and also a lot of the interventions do involve changing the behavior of the end user. So how do you also do large scale behavioral change is something that the design team keeps a focus on. To give you an example, we had done an extensive user research to understand what are the saving patterns of the gig workers in the rural economy. So for that, we've done over 130 plus surveys. We then categorized them into user personas. And based on what the design team was able to do, we then designed the targeted interventions for each of these personas. So these are two functions, Samagra X and design team, who work very closely with the program teams. Now, to sum it all up from whatever I have said, and you would have also probably noticed that in the video, but there are certain characteristics to all of our programs, and there are 6 of them. Let me go through them one by one. First is that we operate on a government pull model. We look for the right setup. And by that right setup, we mean that there has to be a bureaucratic pull as well as the political championship. So the problem statement of Nipun itself was the mission that was declared by the Honorable CM of the state, that needs to be the primary mission for foundational literacy and education in Uttar Pradesh. So it was already a CM mandate. And there was also a bureaucrat who was championing that cause. So we primarily work when the government reaches us to us with a problem statement where there is both bureaucratic championship as well as political leadership buy-in at the top level. The second characteristic is that we don't take our fee from the governments. We don't participate in the government tenders. Our consulting fees is coming through philanthropies. Now, philanthropies, you would have heard of Gates Foundation, Michael and Dell Susan Foundation, and so on and so forth. Also, some sources of CSRs. But that's where we take the fees from and not from the government. And that's come from a large part of our learning in terms of business model working for us. And that's how it currently is. The third is that while the goals that we take are very ambitious and it might feel like that how are we really sort of substituting for the system, we are not. We are a very small lean team of 4 to 6 members who are sitting at the state level, working very closely with the bureaucrat and using the government machinery to drive the last mile outcomes. So a 4 to 6 member team is deployed, let's say in the example of Nipun also, and operating out of Lucknow, which is where the state capital is. The fourth one is that all of our programs, they will last for about 2 to 4 years. These are not short projects because outcomes take time. And to be able to drive these large scale outcomes, we stay in the program for close to 2 to 4 years. The fifth one is that the role that Samagra is playing is to catalyze the implementation. Now, if you ask me a question that can't all of this be done by the government, it's their mandate, the answer is yes, pretty much it is the mandate of the government. But what they'll be able to achieve in isolation would be a slow journey. Our focus is primarily on how do we get there faster? How do we catalyze the implementation through the government machinery itself? And lastly, we stay the course in a program through the external changes that happen till the statewide outcomes are achieved and sustained. So it's not just that we've achieved it once, but we've done it enough number of times for the outcomes to be sustained also. Now, what sets us apart as an organization? There are 4 things. First is just the scale of our programs, right? So it's statewide outcomes, statewide goals that we are working on. So the impact in itself is magnanimous. The second is that we're not just doing strategy. It's not a piece of slide, but it's a working motion and the theory of change that you're actually implementing. So it's good sweet spot of strategy plus implementation. The third one is that while consulting is obviously the primary thing that you will be doing at all the program locations, product is an inevitable part of it because for any program, we will have to deploy some data and tech levers to be able to design things for scale. So you get the experience of both consulting and product. And last is the diversity of stakeholders. So we've overhinged and over-indexed on the government stakeholders, but there are also implementation partners. So to give you an example, the Nipun TOC, the theory of change that you saw, For designing the curriculum, then we have collaborated with educational initiatives, EI, or firms which specialize in curriculum. For then creating the tech, we've collaborated with Google. So you're also collaborating with the ecosystem partners. The third is your funding partners themselves. So the funding partners exposure is also something that you'll be dealing with. And lastly, the end citizen, the users, the farmers, the teachers, the students. So it's a huge range of the diversity of stakeholders that you also get to work on. Now, this was one of the questions that I think was also put on the chat. What does a program associate at Samagra work on? So let me first give you where does the program associate sit. So program associate is really at the bottom layer. Over the program associates, we have somebody called a program coordinator. You can think of this as a manager. All of them are fully stationed on the program team with 100% capacity. Only one program coordinator is per a program. Then there is a program lead. So program lead has a shared capacity. Each program lead can be leading 2 to 3 programs. Like I gave my example that I'm currently leading 3 programs. On the side, you're able to see the design team as well as the X team working in collaboration with the program lead. At the top, we have obviously the leadership, which is Gaurav, who's the CEO and founder, and Rahul, who's our chief technologist. So program associate is at the bottommost layer. Now coming to what do they work on? So this was the goal and theory of change that you saw for the entire program. Each of the team members or the program associates could be handling some part of the work streams. So let's say you could have teacher training as one of the work streams. You could be handling Nipun Lakshya application, end-to-end deployment and design of that, and Vidya Samiksha Kendra. So you could have a diversity of the work streams, and all of this is with one work stream owner. So typically one team member has 2 to 3 work streams of a program, right? And in terms of just the skills that you would be getting, so this is what you worked on in terms of skill that you'll be getting. 4 key skills. First is problem solving. It's the bread and butter of what we do. Whiteboards is something that you will see across the guest houses as well as the office, and probably in our homes also now it's too deeply embedded. So we do a lot of problem solving. Second, product management, as I was saying, so user journeys, really getting into the last mile of how the user is using any tech product. Stakeholder management, again, is part and parcel of every day. Maybe not at the CM level is something you'll do daily, but at the junior stakeholder level, at the bureaucrat level is something that is going to come very naturally and on a day-to-day basis. And the last one is doing the field work right. Going to minimum 2 districts per month is an expectation from each of the team members, including the leadership, right? So the leadership is also supposed to be on field so that the eyes and ears are on the ground and we are able to really catch the flaws as well as learn from the users that we are designing from. Lastly, before I hand it over to Venkatesh, what is in it for you? Why should you be at Samagra? First is just it's meaningful work here. It's impactful work. It's not something that is only driving the top line, but it's doing something more than that. It's doing something meaningful for the larger good, and it's working on real problem statements. The second is steep learning curve. So I joined as a program associate and I was made part of the leadership in about 2 to 3 years. And that's again an expectation that we have from each of the team members who join us. And that is not just a change in the designation, but just in terms of the diversity of the learning that I had, because all the ownership at a team member is to be driving everything end to end. So that's the kind of learning curve that's expected. And relating to the example that I was saying is also fast growth, that you will be, if you are really on that fast track journey, you will be getting a lot of fast track growth as opposed to a lot of the large organizations, because we do operate a lot in the startup sense. And lastly, to make it all manageable and bearable, you'll have a lot of supportive peers. And the large reason of that is that you will get like-minded people. Everybody is internally motivated to be able to do something for the good. And therefore, in this place, you'll find peers who are not just going above and beyond to help you without any politics, any competition, but also friends who you'll cherish for life. So with that, I'll give it to Venkatesh for one segment, and then we'll open the floor for questions.
Thank you so much, Manisha. Manisha, can you just display the whole? Yeah, great. So, folks, a lot of you have been asking questions about designations, right? So, let me explain all of that very, very precisely to you because I see a flood of chats and back and forth on, there, right? So, see, the thing is, at Samagra, as you have seen, right, we have a hierarchy system of roles, which is you're a program associate by role, or you're a program coordinator by role, or you're a program lead by role. For instance, Manisha is a program lead by role. I am a program coordinator by role. Idea essentially is the things that you are seeing, the name as associate, senior associate, consultant, emerging leader, these are all designations. So there are designations and then there are these roles, right? Some of the designations will play the role, a specific role, and that's the kind of a mapping which is there. So for example, all the roles that we're hiring for, all the designations we're hiring for essentially, which is associate, senior associate, consultant, emerging leader, eventually once they come in, play the role of a program associate, which is that you're a team member. You are given task of managing say 3 to 5 work streams, right? Now whether those are 3 work streams, those are 5 work streams, those are complex work streams, easy work streams, depends upon your designation, so to say, right? And fresher early out of college may be given say less number of work streams but maybe more complex work streams, or say more number of work streams but easier work streams. So those kind of configurations could happen. But an emerging leader, as I would just explain to you that what that archetype is, right, would be given say more number of work streams and more complex work streams because we want you to grow faster and take up higher responsibility at a quicker fashion. So the variation is in the designations, but the role that you take care of regardless is the same. So the work that you do is same. Complexity, amount of work, all of that may be different because you might come from different backgrounds in terms of amount of work experience, rigor of work experience, and so on and so forth, right? Idea essentially is we do not hire anyone directly at the managerial role because we want you to take some time to kind of get accustomed to the ways of working of Samagra, ways of working of our engagement model with the government before taking up higher responsibilities. So I like to make that upfront clear. And therefore, once you are applying to Samagra, you are not applying for a specific designation, right? So you're not applying, I'm applying for emerging leader, I'm applying for associate. No. Idea is that you apply, right? We evaluate you. So your profile plus experience, quality of experience, amount of experience, rigor of experience, which college you are from, all of that gets accounted for along with the interview. How sharp were you in giving the interview? Based on all of that, your designation then gets determined, right? And obviously your salary is a function of a designation. And I'll talk about the bands also very shortly. A few of you asked about that. We'll talk about that very shortly, right? Now what you see on the screen is the progression, right? So typically an associate or senior associate is people with 0 to 2.5 years of experience. After that, the progression is to a consultant, then to a senior consultant, then to a manager, then to a senior manager, VP, senior VP. For instance, I am a senior consultant, Manisha is a senior manager by designation, right? Emerging leader. Now, so emerging leader is a very, very specific role wherein the idea is that we want you to become a program coordinator or a senior consultant by designation in 1 year. It is an up and out role, whereas the idea is that you come in, you have 2 appraisal cycles, which is 1 year of time to kind of show your skills and show your kind of performance at the firm. And if you do well, you become a program coordinator, and therefore you start managing a team of your own and a statewide transformation immediately. And therefore we are very selective in terms of the kind of people we shortlist and the kind of people we offer, right? For example, Manisha came in from an I am Ahmedabad and an HUL background, and was therefore shortlisted and considered for an emerging leader role eventually after the interview, and was offered that specific role. And therefore her trajectory has been of taking up very quickly the program coordinator role. Whereas associate, senior associate, and consultant, that is the normal hiring pattern, and much of the people who get hired are hired and pegged at that designations, right? That's the difference. I hope you all of you have understood the difference between these kind of differences, right? So emerging leader therefore is very specific. What does it mean? You are from a tier 1 MBA college, right? Plus you have very specific 4 type of background. You have an consulting background from something like a McKinsey, Bain or BCG as an example, right? You have a sales or a marketing background from HUL, PNG or ITC as an example, right? You have a prior running your own business for at least 2 years kind of an experience, or you have worked in a PNL high growth PNL ownership. Idea essentially is it is this 4 type of archetype along with the MBA degree. What we have seen historically have been the people who have been able to kind of sustain themselves in the firm for the emerging leader program and been able to successful. Idea essentially is we want to peg you at a designation which sets you up for success, right? Because it's an up and out kind of a program. If you don't perform well in that 1 year, you are out of the organization, which therefore sometimes people may take more time to kind of they may need 6 months more to kind of become a program coordinator, which we are very fine with. And in that case, you start say as a consultant or you start as a senior associate. I hope that kind of clears out the distinction between these roles, right? Great, right? So this is the basic idea about these roles and designations. One thing very important to understand: once you become a senior consultant at Samagra, it is the time when profit sharing starts. So typically, you will find profit sharing to begin at a higher designation in other organizations, but at Samagra, your profit sharing starts after you become a senior consultant itself, and therefore you get the pie of the profit itself also to share once you're here. In terms of the salary brackets, right, the associate salary, the freshers hiring salary with no experience, we started at 12 lakhs per annum. So the brand of associates you can consider from 12 to 13.5 lakhs per annum CTC, right? The senior associate will be something from 13.5 to 21 lakhs per annum CTC. A consultant would be somewhere between 21 to 29 lakhs per annum CTC. Emerging leader is an outlier, because the idea is that a very specific archetype is what we are hiring there, and for a specific role, that's a 40 LP CTC. So these are the salary brands. I hope it transparent enough for all of you to kind of consider. Yeah, Manisha, we can go ahead to the next slide. Yeah, very important question. A lot of you asked, what do we ask for you in the what are we looking for? What are the skills? What are the traits that we are looking for? Right. First and foremost is impact orientation. The kind of work requires that mission orientation, that zeal to make an impact in the society. Otherwise, you will, struggle a lot in terms of finding the direction for yourself. Because see, it's not easy to create impact. It requires district visits. It requires you to stay sometimes in tier 2 cities like Visakhapatnam, Bhubaneswar, Lucknow. Obviously we have now Mumbai also coming up as a city, but regardless, many of the cities may not be the metro cities, so to say, or and therefore may not have, say, the typical consulting life of a 5-star hotel, staying at a 5-star hotel and all of those things, right? So therefore, all of that can only be kind of sustained by someone if they have that deep passion for this work. So please only apply if you have that kind of a passion. If you are looking at this as a job, please, I would say, don't apply. If you're looking at kisi a job mil jaye mere ko and therefore I'm applying, I would say that stay away from firms like us, because you'll have to go the extra mile to create that impact. So that deep passion is the only thing which will kind of create that going the extra mile attitude. Apart from that, skill wise, we look for problem solving skills. So all the cases, all the interviews that some of you will be kind of going through will have that aspect, which essentially means that you will be given a governance case. You'll be seen in terms of how do you solve cases. Are you bringing about or baking into practicality, in terms of solving cases? How are you doing in guesstimates? So those kind of interviews is what you will kind of get. Obviously, interpersonal skills is paramount, because we're doing a lot of stakeholder management. You'll be dealing with the CM of a state, to the additional chief secretary of the state, to principal secretaries, to the ground frontline workers. So all of that requires a lot of stakeholder management attitude and good interpersonal skills, right? And then finally, we're also looking at the org fit, which essentially means that do you have growth mindset? Right? Do you take ownership wherever you go? And therefore, a lot of you have asked me that, okay, should I only be from tier 1 institutes to get selected? For emerging leader, that's an exception. For all the other designations, the answer is no. This is what we're looking for. You might be from any college, you might be from any previous work experience background. At wherever you are, were you able to show these things? In the interview, are you able to solve our cases? That is what we're looking for. Right? Great. The last part of this, which is the process itself. A lot of you have asked me questions related to the process, so this will clear that out. So it is a 5-step process. The first step is a resume and a 90-second video submission. Some of you asked, what do we do in that? Making it absolutely very clear. Till 7th of June, you have the deadline on our website. So you can go on samagragovernance.in, right? Go to the careers section, and obviously all these links are also available. And I'll share that very shortly on the chat as well. But the idea is you go there, fill all the details, submit a resume, 1-pager resume. Consulting world, appreciates 1-pager resume. So I'm iterating once again, that you might have 7 years experience, 8 years experience, and may have made 3 pager resume. Please ensure that you have a very crisp 1-pager resume, right? Secondly, 90-second video, right? Obviously, first of all, on the resume, quantify as much as possible, right? Ensure that you're putting outcomes, because that is what we value wherever you are. What are the outcomes that you have shown? Not only the activities, you made presentations, you did sales, all of that is good. But what was the end outcome that you achieved wherever you are? Because that is what makes your resume distinctive. Second is the 90-second video. A 90-second video has a prompt. Why do you think that you are a right fit for Samagra? So we want you to explore all these 3 things: knowledge, skill, and attitude. How does that resonate with what we do at Samagra? Right? Are you mission oriented? Are you someone who can work on consulting projects? Can you make presentations? Can you make Excel data crunching? Can you do stakeholder management? Can you communicate well? Can you make presentations? Can you all those things, right? If you just type in consulting toolkit 101, all those things is what we are looking in terms of. Do you have some experience of those things? Is what you can quote in your answer is the main thing, right? Obviously, there are a lot of things that you will come and learn here. So we're not looking at are you a finished consultant and therefore we want to hire you. Do you have that zeal to learn? Do you have that ownership mindset? Do you have that mission orientation? Do you know how to kind of talk to people? So those are the kind of things that we're looking at. So you can talk about all of that in that 90-second video. Please ensure it's not more than 95 seconds. We will put in a tool to kind of check. If it is more than 95 seconds, we don't watch the video at all. So I'm giving all of you an upfront disclaimer. Ensure that it is not more than 95 seconds at max, right? After this, we will come from to the round 2. So people who are getting shortlisted will go through a concept note round, which essentially is what? On the date that you choose, either it is 12th or it is 13th, you get a prompt, right? You get a prompt, a question, right? That question you'll have 3 hours to solve, right? Idea essentially is we want you to make a strategy document. We want you to make a concept note of sorts, that how do you make that happen, whatever the problem statement is. And there will also be a work plan, a 6 months or a 12-month work plan, that, okay, what are the various tasks that are to be done, who does these tasks, and which month what happens. That kind of a thing is what we're expecting you to create. We're looking at how well you format, the content of it, how thoughtful are you in terms of addressing the problem statement and coming up with that document. So that is the round 2. After this, 2 rounds of interviews are technical in nature, which is basically the consulting sort of interviews. So governance cases, that is what you'll be focusing upon, right? We'll be also having another AMA for shortlisted people to take you through how to prepare for the consulting interviews in governance cases and in Samagra's context. So we'll do that at a later stage, but you'll have 2 rounds of that. And then finally a round with a CEO, which essentially is a fitment round, so to say, where he himself wants to talk to everyone that we might be making an offer to. He determines the designation, then the salary negotiation may happen if you're getting selected, and then you might be offered. So this is the whole system. By 7 July, we expect to roll out the offers, right? On 7 July itself, right? So I hope this clears it out. I think some of you asked that concept note ka example. So it may be, say, for example, so for example, it could be very simple as that UP government wants to create hotspots for Wi-Fi's. How do you enable that in the next 3 years? So a concept note on that. And then maybe a work plan of sorts ki, in 6 months, how do you what are the first 6 months ke tasks to be done? Something of that sort, right? Cool. I think now we can take up questions. We can take up a lot of questions have come our way. Simran and Suhani will just kind of wait for some of the questions to be taken from the chat. We have noted it down, and then we'll ask you to unmute yourself and ask questions. Folks, so if you have more questions that have not been addressed yet, this is the time, right? We are here. Manisha will be here for some time. I'll be there for a longer duration of time. So more than happy to take up the questions that you have, right? Okay, so some of the questions were related to location. So we have clubbed it out. Some of you asked locations, how does it work, right? So currently, as you saw in that map, right, we have programs across 4 locations as of now. We have Odisha, so we work out of Bhubaneswar there. We have Uttar Pradesh, so we work out of Lucknow there. Andhra Pradesh, we work out of Vijayawada. And in Maharashtra, we work out of Pune and Mumbai. Right, so these are the locations. What happens is we have guest houses. So all the team members are stationed out of these program locations, which is the capital cities or these cities that are typically talked about. And you are staying out of there, you're working out of the department offices. So the department that we're working with, you get an office space there. The team sits out of there, goes at say 9 a.m. in the morning, comes back whatever time is the cadence of the team, right? And you work out of there itself, right? Therefore, we are not hiring for specific locations. We are not hiring that you come here, we'll staff you to only Lucknow. We get all the people to join at that point of time wherever the vacancy, so to say, is there, or staffing requirement is so to say there. We staff you there, and at regular intervals, which typically is say 8 to 12 months, you get restaffed to a new location or a new program, right? So you may be working in Nipun Bharat program in UP, and after 12 months, you might be restaffed to the AI Powered Odisha program in Odisha or Bhubaneswar. That's the way of working there. Now there are certain flyback options, very similar to other consulting firms. So because you're stationed out of these locations, we understand that you might want to go back to Delhi or say your designated home. So for all, there are 9 flybacks that Samagra takes care of. So that's a policy that 9 times you can go back to your designated home and come back, right? This number changes with the role changes. For example, program coordinators get 18 flybacks in a year. So 18 times a year they can go back. So once you kind of get promoted to and lead a team, your manager team, you get that. Program leads have like unlimited type of flyback, because program leads may also need to go between different locations that they are managing, because they are managing multiple programs. Right? Married people ke liye, we have a separate policy which is 24 flybacks to the designated spousal location. So the idea is that is these are some of the policies, but otherwise typically 90% of the people stay out of the program locations and work out of there itself. I hope this is absolutely clear as well. Yeah. Now, some of the questions were also about what are some of the new programs. I think many people ask, are the new locations? So as of now, this is the case. Whenever you will be joining, say in September, October or later, right? At that time, if there are new locations, so that will be up for grabs, right? But it depends upon the time of joining, which programs we are working at. In terms of the mix of program locations that you might be working at. Yeah.
Venkatesh, a lot of questions are in terms of preference of a profile. So no UPSC profile or, consultancy or whatever political consultancy profile has no bearing at all. Somebody had also asked, do degrees matter, etc. We explicitly mentioned what are we looking for. It's the impact orientation and 3 basic skills, right?
Yeah.
Which is interpersonal skills, problem solving skills. So that's pretty much what we do, and the eligibility criteria is there for the designation that Venkatesh had mentioned.
Yes. So basic is 12 plus months of experience is what we require, and you could be eligible for associate, a senior associate, or a consultant designation, depending upon your previous profile, years of experience, quality of experience, and the performance in the interview also. That also is a big factor, right?
Yeah.
Idea is, right, only for emerging leader there is an exception, whereas a specific archetype of people only we are hiring for, right? So that's the only exception. Otherwise, everything anyone can apply for, and you'll be pegged based on the interview outcome and your profile, right? Got it. All right. I think we can take a few more questions from the chat. Before that, we can take a few questions which have been from the raised hand. So Simran, you may go next.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Venkatesh. I wanted to ask you, Ms. Manisha, as well as Mr. Venkatesh. I really am attached to the outcome or to the vision that you have as a company. So I wanted to understand, does Samagra have any boundaries that they set as a consultancy firm? to the outcome of a program or of a campaign, because at the end of the day you are a consultancy firm, right? And a second sub part of that question would be that for internal and company goals, or say personal goals, if I were to be an employee, do you have a mechanism of monitoring how the outcome or impact of the program was, and then are you allowed to share it with your employees? So that's my question.
Okay, thanks, Simran, for that question. So, in terms of setting the timeline, the sixth pointer that I was mentioning, in terms of, characteristic is that we remain in a program for the duration till the outcome that we had originally set out for has been achieved and sustained. We don't want to be there in any program indefinitely working with the government. We just want to be there till the time that outcome has been sustained. Now, sustainability in itself has a lot of our internal checks and balances on when do we call it sustained. Now, that could mean, have we been able to alter the life of the user that they can't go back to the original base? Or have we been able to conduct, let's say, 2 rounds of assessments in which the Nipun declarations have happened? So there are certain metrics that we internally have for pegging whether the sustainability has been reached or not. After that, we responsibly hand over all the work and the interventions to the government. So all the tech products that we would have worked on, we'll hand it over to the department's tech team. All the other sort of work that our team was doing in the department will be handed over to the point of contact, relevant points of contact in the department. We also sometimes help to hand it over to another management consulting firm because we feel that the goal has been achieved. Now, that's the ideal way. Of course, there are certain circumstances in which we have to truncate the programs or end the programs, but that's not never because of that we could have stayed and we couldn't achieve the outcomes. It's almost always because where we realize that the pull from the bureaucrat is lowering down and it's not achieving the goal that we had intended to, then we mutually take the call with the funding partner that we don't feel that we can work. The right setup is extremely key. So that's something that we follow very transparently. And in terms of assessment, we do third-party assessments. And in the case of Nipun also, that third-party assessment is already being done by government, which is national survey, which is ASER is obviously the private ecosystem equivalent of the gold standard. But then you also have your NAS results as a third party. In some cases, we do collaborate with academia also to be able to conduct the right RCTs and give us the impact assessment. So it's not just internal metrics that we're chasing, but third-party impact assessment. Hope that clarifies.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we can take questions from others. I think some of the hands who've been up for a while.
Shardul, please go ahead.
Shardul, yeah.
Hello everyone, thanks for clarification on all questions. But my question is, I have a working experience of along with the study of my postgrad with a think tank, and I was working with the Ministry of Defense and the US Department of Defense. So can I use that experience as well as my current experience with the government of Assam as for applying, or should I just count my current experience with the government of Assam as a Chief Minister Fellow?
So, see, obviously, whatever experience you have had, which accounts for a full-time experience, is fine. So, I don't think there's going to be a challenge in terms of quoting that for the application.
Okay. My doubt was like, because it was a full-time employment, but along with the study, because my college was in evening. So I used to work in the like morning time from 9 to 5.
So what we can do is these specific questions. You can share my LinkedIn. You can email me or send me on LinkedIn. We can discuss that offline individually.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Right? Yeah, thanks a lot, Shardul. Yeah. So Hani, you had your hand up.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the informative session. I just had 2 very quick technical questions. The first question being, does freelance or entrepreneurial work count as full-time experience? And the second question being, are there any specific openings for these, the roles of senior associate, and consultant, or like we are open to hiring?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Got it. So, okay. So, I think I'll take the second question first. So, there is no specific numbers in mind that we go for, right? The idea is essentially because we need team members to work, right? Now, whether that's 5 associates or 2 associates and five consultants is not how we hire. Right? So there's no quota that we're trying to fill. We're just finding the right fit talent to come and work at Samagra. Now the designation is a function of your journey at Samagra. That how do we feel that you will grow into say the managerial role and then further in a leadership role, and what that journey looks like, and that is how we kind of give your designation. Right? Your designation also is not a function of your previous salary. Right? There have been people, and you can ask them yourself, who came in with us, say 4 LPA CTC to begin with, but because we felt that they were right fit for senior associate because of the skills that they showed in the interview and the previous experience, right? They got a 18, 19 LPCTC. So we are not looking at just an incremental kind of thing from previous, and those kind of things does not happen at Samagra. And that's why I've been very clear in terms of giving you the large bands, and therefore the numbers and all these things are all immaterial. We're just looking for the right talent to join Samagra. That's the main thing. And on the first part of the question, can you just repeat the first part of the question?
Yeah, the freelance or entrepreneurial work, does it count as being
Yeah, it should be fine. It should be fine. Like entrepreneurial work does count because in fact for emerging leader, we are also looking for people जिनने अपना खुद का 2 साल खुद का venture चलाया हो, right? And obviously have shown some tangible outcomes there. But that's completely fine. Don't have a qualm against that. Yeah. Yes, Harshdeep, you can go next.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you for the insightful session. So my question is, you told us that it is Samagra operates on a government pull model, right? And you act like a catalyst. So the question is how fast we are able to, achieve the outcome. Let us say, for example, government launches a scheme and they achieve it in X units of time, and with the help of you guys, we make it in Y units of time. How faster is that?
Yeah. I mean, it really depends on the domain to domain, and that's also not some of one metric, Harshdeep, that we measure because it's not very straightforward to measure. But
Definitely.
I'll give you a sense on where we are in Nipun right now. We started working in around close to COVID times, 22, 23. And as of date, we have about 52,000 schools out of the 1.1 lakh government schools who've been declared Nipun, right? And that's happened in a matter of 3 years. Now, there are ways of comparison metrics. That Nipun Bharat mission is a national mission which is applicable across states. No other state has been able to declare even numbers which are 1/10 of it as on today. But in 3 years, we've been able to get to it. But instead of the post facto assessment, Harshdeep, what we try to do is that in terms of timelines, the first 3 to 4 months really go on designing the intervention. So we get to the design as fast and in the most rigorous possible manner. It's not a boil the ocean approach that till the time we hit the perfect solution, we'll not roll it out. So we take a very targeted hypothesis-based problem-solving approach, and we get to that design and roadmap, and then we start rolling out the interventions. Internally, only for a program to keep the government excited, you have to create certain quick wins. So within 6 to 9 months, you'll have to show certain exemplary outputs that are running. Otherwise, the government will lose interest. So that's just at any mission level, it's true. And by the end of a year, you'll have to show some progress in the tangible outcome. So that's typically the journey internally from the program lens, that's how we look at duration and that's how we look at outcomes. But in terms of full magnitude and in the way we've been able to truncate, this is one example that I can give. It will depend on domain to domain, because in some of the cases, we're also trying to do very new things. Kerala High Court is an example which is not traditional, so it can't even be compared with existing. We've created digital always on courts. So it's fully aside from the physical courts experience, and only time and assessment will probably tell on how many cases that we and how many pendencies we've been able to sort of short circuit. I hope that gives you some flavor of how we catalyze and how do we
Yes,
out.
that certainly does. Another question, if I can ask.
Harshdeep, would want to give a
Yeah.
little bit
Sure.
more people opportunities, and you can hit us on LinkedIn or email, and we'll be more than happy to reply. Yeah,
Definitely.
Vikram, you may go next.
Hey, thanks, Venkatesh. Thanks, Manish, for the wonderful session. I'm Vikram. I come from Bangalore. I had two questions actually. One, you talked about us having a certain bureaucratic pull. Now, in a scenario where we are picking up programs for ourselves, do you think that bureaucrats also extend the mandate to us, considering we may at certain moment decide if a project is worthy of our time or not? This is question A. Question B, specifically about the emerging leader program. So there were two parameters that were mentioned. A was the institute pedigree, and B was the work-ex experience, work-ex classification. So what is the weight shift between both these two buckets here? Can you please answer these two questions?
All right. So
I'll
yeah,
probably answer my part, Venkatesh, and then I'll also have to drop off
sure,
everyone. You
sure.
can probably reach out to me on LinkedIn, like Venkatesh is saying. So, when I say bureaucratic pull, it by de facto means that we are not going out there to pitch our programs. So, the way typically it works is that we definitely do reach out to the ecosystem in terms of doing strategic ambassadorship with the right bureaucrats that we know about. But then the bureaucrat is the one who's giving us the problem statement. Once the bureaucrat has given us the problem statement, we break it down, we try and problem solve and finalize the contours of that solution. And we also assess if the setup is right. And by setup, we mean that is it the political mandate of the state? Does the CM care about that topic? Is the bureaucrat going to stay in the current role for a while or not? Because our programs are also of longer duration. After we have done all of these checks and we are feeling confident that this is a problem statement which is meaningful and the setup is right, that's when we bring the two variables together, that we will deploy a program team if the bureaucrat then helps us identify the funding source. Once the bureaucrat is good, the funding is sorted, that's when we deploy our program teams. So it's not typically, I would say, the consulting pitching model that we operate on. We just do strategic ambassadorship where we talk about our work that does not necessarily convert into an opportunity right away. But when the bureaucrats hear about us, they come back to our problems. They come back with a problem statement, and that's when we do the setup assessment. Hope that clarifies it.
Very interesting model. Yes, that really helps. Thank you so much.
Okay,
So
thanks.
thank you so much, Manisha, for your time. I'll stay and address a few more questions before closing the session. So folks, you can wait for your turn. Thanks a lot for your time, Manisha. Yeah. Yeah, so Vikram, just answering your second question for the SELP, the Emerging Leader Program, right? The idea is that there's no weightage per se, right? The idea is that there is basic criteria, which is that you are from a tier 1 MBA, plus you have 34 months of minimum experience for the Emerging Leader designation. Plus, within that 34 months, 2 years, you should have done something or the other, which we have mentioned those four archetypes, right? Either McKinsey Bain BCG consultant or ITC HUL PNG kind of sales or marketing role, or run your own startup, or be in a high growth startup ka P&L ownership role. That makes you eligible for the emerging leader. After that, it's also depending upon the interview, because it may so happen that you still kind of fit these criteria, basic criteria, and after that you are still not given an emerging leader role because the interview does not feel that you are right for becoming a manager in 1 year time duration. They might feel that 18 months required hoga, so let's give them a consultant designation as of now, and the growth would be that in 18 months they may become a manager. I hope that's clear. So it's not about any weightage. It's about just meeting those basic threshold to be eligible at the first place. And there were so many cases where people may have been eligible for the emerging leader by those just basic criteria and still not offered the emerging leader designation because of the interview outcome. Right? That's the idea. See, the idea is that we don't want people who are very smart, who are very driven. Just because we did not give them 6 months extra to perform, they are out of the firm, because their program is a program, which means that at the end of the program, either you're in the firm or you're out of the firm. Whereas for the associate, consultant, senior associate, all these, there's no such time constraints to kind of perform and showcase and so on and so forth. Right? Yeah.
Got it. That helps. Thanks.
Yeah. We can take a question from Utkarsh. Yeah. Utkarsh, are you asking a question? Yeah.
Can you hear me, Venkatesh?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Good evening, Venkatesh. So I have two very brief questions. First is like how much a new hire can expect in terms of ownership, interaction ownership with bureaucrats and ministers. And second is like if a new induct who has been inducted as an associate or a senior associate on the basis of their performance and the scale of impact, is it possible for them to get transferred to the emerging leader trans?
Good questions. So, first question, Samagra is all about ownership. We are very lean teams. आप सोचिए कि the whole Nipun Bharat program is been run by one program manager and four associates. And all these, the whole theory of change that you saw is being kind of, 4 to 5 of those work streams are being owned completely by one team member. So therefore, for that particular work stream, you are the complete owner in terms of the work that you do. And within that, therefore, there's a high visibility with all the stakeholders. You'll be sitting with the additional chief secretary. You'll be sitting with the CM meetings. You'll be sitting, with all the different, bureaucrats and ministers that we are engaging with, right? The frequency will change. Obviously, you do not sit with the chief minister in every meeting, right? In fact, none of the team members will sit, be it the program lead or the program associate in every meeting with the chief minister. But whenever it happens, whenever say the Samagra team is to come, all will go together, right? That's the idea, right? Obviously, the program lead does it more, right? So therefore, once you become more and more, tenured in the firm, your visibility with the senior stakeholders and the number of senior stakeholders increases, right? But nonetheless, you are given ownership within the ambit of your work stream to talk about it with your stakeholders, whoever that is, right? On the other bits, transfer between, say, I come in as a consultant, can I become emerging leader? The idea is, see, very simple. If you're performing at Samagra, right, the journey of an emerging leader and a journey of a consultant may actually look very similar, right? The only idea is for an emerging leader, you don't get any breather. In that 1 year, if you don't perform, your rating is average or below, you are out. For a consultant, you might be getting more time. That's the idea, right? But the idea is that if you outperform, for example, someone like Manisha, right, just to give you an example, right? By virtue of her role, she became a program lead by the time she was expected to become a program coordinator within the ambit of the program. वो एक साल में program lead बन गई थी. So the idea is that if you perform well, we're not going to artificially kind of constrain your growth at all at Samagra, right? You can check out Pragya Mathur. She is one of our alum from Samagra. She came in as an associate from Miranda House, fresher. 5 years she stayed with Samagra. Every year she got promoted. So in the duration of 1 year, every 1 year she got promoted. She kind of transitioned out as a manager and is doing her MBA from INSEAD now. So the idea essentially is we are not going to constrain, based on these starting designation. Those are just the criteria to kind of, induct you, get you in Samagra, right? But the growth is never going to be tapered or stopped artificially if you're performing really well, right? So the journey of a consultant and emerging lead may look very similar also on occasion that आप consultant से 1 साल में senior consultant बन गए and therefore you are at the same place at where an emerging leader would reach in 1 year, right? Simple as. So for example, I joined as a consultant. I did not join as an emerging leader, right? I joined as a consultant and I became senior consultant in 1 year. So I had a very similar trajectory as any emerging leader. So that's the idea, right? Yeah, I hope that answers many of people's questions.
Yes, that's completely clear. Thank you very much.
Nimish, you may go next.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for this session. I had a simple doubt with respect to something that was mentioned in the presentation, that you follow something like a top-down approach as far as management is concerned, and then a bottoms-up approach with respect to governance. Right?
Yeah.
Can you give me a brief example how that works for a better understanding?
Yeah. So what basically that means is that once we are sitting on a problem statement, let's say as an example that we are working on how can we create artificial intelligence integration into a department in Odisha. What Samagra will do is follow a 5-step problem-solving approach. So McKinsey follows the same. We have adopted because our CEO and founder is from McKinsey, right? So he has adopted some of those things in the Samagra's context, in governance and Indian context. But we follow a similar approach wherein we kind of do a issue tree creation. हम top-down issue tree बनाएंगे that these are the various issues that this department is facing. For example, where all can we integrate AI based on our first principles thinking? So that is a top-down approach of problem solving. We do hypothesis testing. wherein we then go on the ground and validate these things from experts, from citizens, from people in the governance sphere, and get an understanding of governance bottom up. So that is what it means. And then we marry the two ideas and then come up with the final solution that based on our hypothesis, based on our understanding, first principles, top-down approach, this is what we had. We validate things or invalidate things based on how things turn out on the ground or with experts or with IS officers or whoever we're talking to. And then we come up with a complete design. Okay, this is the Nipun Bharat program theory of change, right? We evolve over time and then come up with the final solution that we propose to the government, and then we get it to execution. So that's the meaning of top-down approach of consulting, married with the bottom-up understanding of the governance system, and then getting what is practically possible on the ground. Yeah.
Thank you. Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Krishnam, you can go next.
गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन सर मेरा सिर्फ एक ही सवाल है जो आपने 90 सेकंड की वीडियो मांगी है हाउ कैन आई इम्प्रेस यू लाइक व्हाट डू आई नीड टू पोर्ट्रे सो दैट आप मेरी प्रोफाइल को एक औरों की प्रोफाइल से बेहतर देखें.
हाँ, सो ओके, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल बिकॉज पिछले राउंड्स में भी हमने देखा है बहुत बार ये होता है कि लोग बहुत ही अच्छे ग्राफिक डिजाइनिंग एंड एनिमेशंस वगैरह के साथ वीडियो बनाते हैं. If you want to do that, go ahead and do that, but that's not what we're looking at, right? So we're looking at a simple, आप अपना सेल्फी वीडियो फोन से बनाइए, लैपटॉप से बनाइए, कैमरा से बनाइए, whatever is your convenient way of saying, and you talk about what makes you the right fit for Samagra in those 90 seconds, right? How you can do that is previous experience से आप उस पर लिंक कर सकते हैं कि मैंने अभी तक ये किया है, therefore I'm good at XYZ things, which I feel, and based on your understanding from today's session, based on what is out there on our website, you feel would be utilized in the day-to-day working at Samagra. Second could be behaviorally what makes you motivated to join Samagra, and therefore the right fit. Like for example, and there could be multiple things. You could say that I have deep passionate, I'm empathetic person, and therefore I have a deep passion for making people's life better. It could be I'm a UPSC aspirant, and therefore I want. It's always been in the back of my mind. So there could be evidence. There could be your own some life story that you want to share. There could be some innate feeling that you have which you want to share. So all of that could also be part of the answer, and it will also be that that what resonated most about Samagra, and therefore you feel that you are the right fit, and therefore will be able to deliver with the mission of Samagra. So all those things combined can actually, and the idea is that you package it into a well-articulated video where you're not reading from a screen, where you are not reading from a paper, where it is not AI that is in front of us, which we are able to catch, where your eyes are not moving left to right on the screen. So all those things just take care of and you'll impress us.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah. We can go next to Atanu. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly.
Yes, Venkatesh, sir.
All right.
So,
yeah, please go.
My name is Atanu and I'm from Odisha. And I previously ran an aquaculture venture and had the opportunity to work with government departments while implementing a fisheries subsidy scheme. One thing I noticed was that implementation on the ground can be quite different from the original plan. So my question is, what is the biggest challenges in turning a well-designed government program into real impact on the ground?
Yeah. Right. So two things. Good question. See, first and foremost, the way we tackle ensuring that what we design gets implemented is the strong pull that we started with. And therefore, there are a lot of programs that we would have said no to the IS officer or say even ministers if they've asked us to work with them. If we feel based on our understanding that there's will nahi hai and support nahi milega. Because a lot of times government moves by two methods. One is the carrot and one is the stick. Right, so जब ऊपर से डंडा होगा तो नीचे काम होगा, right? So implementation तभी होगा जब ऊपर के सारे bureaucracy and everyone kind of is aligned on the vision. And if that is not happening, we know for a fact that things will not move on the ground. The other is that obviously you create some intrinsic motivational mechanisms in form of say say giving frontline workers some award, some kind of recognition, some kind of pat on the back, so that they work on the ground. Right? The idea is that it can be either of the two. But पहला वाला है, which is अगर bureaucracy or ministers, whoever is in charge, is not kind of on board, things will not move. So implementation को best probability कि वो हो अच्छे से, we enable through this at the first instance itself. Regardless, there are many challenges that we face. That there could be bureaucratic shifts. आपके जो bureaucrat थे वो transfer हो गए. ट्रांसफर हो गए तो therefore the problem may be कि अब जो नया इंसान आया is not aligned with the mission, right? So therefore implementation gets hampered. Sometimes it's about कि the ground field staff is creating unnecessary hassle. So these are things which we face on the ground, and therefore the idea is, as a work stream owner, you have to ensure that you have those right stakeholder management skills to actually talk to the district magistrates, talk to the block divisional officers, talk to the block education officers to get things done. And that's where you come in, right? Because like, see, all of us are outside the government system, and therefore हमें वो yes manship and वो सब करने की जरूरत है नहीं, हमें कोई रोजी पिक्चर बताने की जरूरत भी नहीं है, and that is where we come in. That's why we are the catalyst. So it's a, but regardless, there are a lot of times which may happen that things are getting slowed, but we navigate it, as much as possible in terms of the scope of the program. And again, as Manisha mentioned, that after ऐसा लगने लग जाए अगर मान लीजिए implementation कुछ नहीं हो रहा है, no support, all of that, we exit out of the program. We have a 3+3 policy. We give it a complete go for 3 months if things are not moving at all, because we want impact. We don't want कि हम funding ले लें from Gates Foundation or Dell Foundation or whatever philanthropies and just keep on working on the ground and kind of there's no impact. So we exit, right? For example, the CMGJ program, we exited out of the Haryana government, right? I think most recently there was a program in UP for agriculture. We worked there for about 11 months. The stakeholder changed, the bureaucrat changed, and we were not getting the support from the officers there, and therefore we exited after that 3+3 months kind of a exit policy. And we align with the funding partner, tell them all the reasons, and we get out. Because main thing ye hai, we want the right setup for our team members, because motivation of the team is only high if they feel कि वो कुछ कर रहे हैं. Otherwise, if they are just hitting against the a wall, they will feel demotivated, right? And attrition then becomes a big problem. कि यार काम कर रहे हैं लेकिन कुछ हो नहीं रहा है. And the other thing is, obviously we want to show tangible results and only want to work places where right setup and right impact ka possibility is high. So with all of this, we navigate through these challenges. I hope that answered that. And I think a lot of other questions also it answered, I would say.
yes, very much right.
Yeah.
And मेरे पास एक और क्वेश्चन है एप्लीकेशन का रिगार्डिंग. तो मैं आपका जो वीडियो है मैंने 2 मिनट का एक्सीड कर दिया है, तो वो सही होगा?
Okay. So folks, again I'm telling you, 95 seconds के ऊपर मत exceed करिए. If you have already submitted, you can resubmit. What we do is we always look at the last submission that you have shared. So you can reapply if you have already applied, then no worries at all. We'll look at the most recent submission. Yeah. We can
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Vasantu, we can go to you next.
Yeah, I'm audible.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. My question is simple, that I am currently in the final term of my blended MBA program at IIM Ahmedabad, which is expected to be completed in the month of September 2026.
Yeah.
So I'm eligible to apply this opportunity right now, or shall I wait till I complete the program?
See, main thing is if you have minimum 12 months of experience and you can join us by September or say October also, that's completely fine. Right? We can give you a later joining date, that's completely fine. That we can work around. That's not an issue at all. Yeah, we anyway will have joining in December also. So if there are few people who are not able to join, in September, then October, November, or December, we can work around joining dates. Not an issue at all.
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good night.
Shraddha, you may go next.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I have a specific question regarding the recruitment that you will be doing for open market candidates and for the campus recruitment, like the emerging leaders program specifically, if we have to talk about it. So, would you prefer going to campuses for campus hiring for that, or would you?
Got it. So got a question. So see, the thing is, for emerging leader program is the program where we hire, we as of now, from IIM Ahmedabad, IIM Bangalore, ISB, where we go to on campus. And then we have a PG pool process where around 5 more campuses, like as of now, which XLRI is there. Then we have XLRI, IIM Kozhikode, IIM Shillong, SP Jain, and I think one more campus. So these campuses are there where we engage with the campus to hire for emerging leaders. But in Open Drive also we opened it because we understand that people from similar type of campuses, and in fact a few more top tier campuses, may have worked somewhere else and would want to come to Samagra, and therefore we do it in the Open Drive also. that alums from these kind of colleges may also want to apply, and that's why we do it in the open drive. So we do the hiring from campus and off campus, both for the emerging leader role. Yeah.
Okay, for sure. Because I am currently a public policy master student at IIM Bangalore, and I
Got it.
know the Emerging Leaders Program hires for the PGP batch, but
Yeah,
I am
yeah.
not sure how you would be looking at people who are applying on themselves and like how does it go. So, okay, that
Then
I
you
think your answer.
you may apply. You may apply. No worries. Right.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think some of you have asked about एक recurrent आ रहा है, which is how I think about the video. I think just let me clarify that. In the round one, there's a resume and a video submission. What you do is record the video, upload it on a YouTube, and make it an unlisted video. I don't show it to the public, right? Make it an unlisted video. Share that link only, right? So that's the way to share the video, and I'll be able to watch it with the link that you provide. Okay. Some of you asked about language. Okay, I think I'll take that language as a whole thing. See, basic English is required because that's how you'll converse with other team members, with the government stakeholders also, right? So basic English is required, right? Typically, we have not seen problems in terms of you not knowing, say, Hindi, right? Because there are so many other states, and you are able to navigate with team members and also not knowing not knowing Hindi is not that big of a challenge, right? In fact, many of our Andhra speaking people have been staffed to Andhra program also because they in fact find it better there. Marathi people speaking to Maharashtra also, not many, but maybe one or two are there in those locations, right? But English basic is what is required. So uske bina to would be very difficult to navigate, right? Next we can go to Savita Tripathi.
Yes, hi Venkatesh. Thank you so much for the presentation. Just a very quick question. You talked about the profit sharing system at Samagra. Can you just explain to me how that works? Because you also said that the funding for Samagra comes from philanthropies. So if you could tell me a bit about that. Thank you.
हाँ नहीं जो फंडिंग से तो रिलेटेड नहीं है सैलरीज का. सो व्हाट बेसिकली वी मीन इज कि we are a for profit organization, so I hope that was clear. I think कहीं mention हुआ होगा in the video. We are a for profit, we are not, हम not for profit नहीं है, we are a for profit organization. So wherever we charge a particular fees to the philanthropies or HNIs, we have a margin in place कि भाई इतना हमारा खर्चा होगा for say operations plus salaries, उसके ऊपर there is profit and right, and therefore the profit का जो part होता है, so there is one complete profit, then there is a shareable profit. That's typically how consulting firms work कि प्रॉफिट होगा, प्रॉफिट का कुछ पार्ट होगा विच गेट शेयर्ड अमंग्स द लीडरशिप. द आइडिया एसेंशियली टिपिकली पार्टनर्स को मिलता है वो शेयर, राइट? अगर आप किसी भी और फर्म में देखेंगे, कंसल्टिंग फर्म्स में एसोसिएट पार्टनर्स को कुछ केसेस में, बट पार्टनर्स फॉर श्योर गेट दैट शेयर. सो उनको कुछ परसेंटेज मिलेगा बिकॉज दे विल गेट सम स्टेक इनटू द फर्म, राइट? ऑल दोस थिंग्स वर्क, राइट? एट समग्र आफ्टर सीनियर कंसल्टेंट इटसेल्फ, so senior consultant, managers, senior managers, vice president, all 4 designations get a certain share. And therefore आपका profit जो होगा, मान लीजिए for example in a year 2 crore रुपए is being shared. Now whoever is senior consultant and above, right, will have a distributed, कुछ एक percentage होता है कि VPs को ज्यादा मिलेगा, senior consultant को कम मिलेगा, and all of those things might be there. Your tenure and the firm also determines कि कितना मिलेगा. All of those things are there, but that is you get a share out of the profit of the organization. I hope it's clear
Great.
now.
Yes, thank you so much. Totally explains it.
Yeah. Yes, Navya Sethi, you may go next.
Yeah. Hi, Venkatesh. Thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to ask, it was a personal employment question. So I worked full time for 1 to 2 years, then joined Startup India with DPIIT as an
Okay.
intern because I wanted to work into government consulting.
Yeah.
But now I am working with Deloitte for a month project. So what
Got
should
it.
I put as my current employer? Because I've not started my project with Deloitte. It would be till July, mid-July. And it's
Hmm.
just a month project. And my previous was Startup India, but it was as an intern.
Hmm. So you're saying that Deloitte you joined full time, but it's only been a month.
No, it's just a month project. So they have hired for
Acha.
1 month.
Got it. So see, you can put that. You can put that 1 month temporary project, something of that sort. That it's completely fine. So whatever it is, internship at internship, 1 month project, you can put it that ways. That's completely fine. I don't think that there'll be an issue as such. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah. So Animesh from the chat has been asking one question again and again. Before I go to Shreyas, I'll take that one. Or I think Navya is the next one. All right. So knowledge, skill, attitude, and passion. What are the most weightage? Yeah, I would say so there's no right answer to this, but I would say that attitude and passion is something that we look for very much, and we have been looking, at it a lot more recently, because 2 3 years back there were a lot of people who came in. Basically, I'll give you a very quick context. We were 50 team members. We expanded to 100 team members, right? In that journey, the passion and ये चीज थोड़ी dilute हो गई in the recruitment, because वो 6 महीने में 50 लोगों को hire करना था. So and therefore what we saw was then a lot of people then within 6 months leaving the firm, because they were like, यार ये मजा नहीं आ रहा हमको, क्योंकि this is not the type of work we wanted to do, right? Therefore, we have now ensured that we get people who are mission oriented and mission aligned, right? Obviously, there is a lot of weightage given to problem solving and all, but that is something that without that तो हम नहीं लेते हैं, is the bare minimum is what I would say. Because we've seen far too many cases, people coming in, going to Lucknow, they're like, अरे ये कहाँ गया मैं? And working in a department, government से कभी interact नहीं किया होता है, they see अरे ये क्या चीज़ है, right? What is this? So if you feel that that's what exciting, that's interesting, and so those people will be able to kind of make it pretty well here. Yeah. Will there be openings again? Harsha, we haven't decided yet if there will be openings again. अभी तो यही drive चल रही है. Yes. Next, is it Shreyas? Yeah, Shreyas, go ahead. Yeah.
Hi, Venkatesh. Thank you so much. So when Manisha was explaining the theory of change, and towards the end, she mentioned that a program associate will be engaged at one of the three levels. Like one is the training, second is the app, and the third one is the Kendra, Samiksha Kendra. So I was just wondering, so for example, if a particular program associate is about to handle teacher training, so what would be the responsibilities? So for example, if I break it down, whether the program associate would be expected to be a teacher trainer, or would it be largely around coordination, licensing, and logistics?
So it's the later part. Obviously, you are not going to teach. आप उसके लिए नहीं आए रहे हो, right? The idea would be you are there to program manage. So the idea is you are someone, say you are almost like a district magistrate handling things, right? That's the analogy I like to give. That there are government के सारे systems हैं आपके पास. You have all of those at your dispensation. You have to design systems so that you can leverage them to the best of your capability. So talking to the right experts, looping the right startup जिनको teacher training आती है, ensuring what is the budget that the government would require. All those design, all that financial modeling is what you do as a team member. Tell it to the officer कि सर हमें ये करवाना है, हमें ये इतना पैसा लगेगा, इतने लोग चाहिएंगे हमको, यहाँ से हम लोगों को ला सकते हैं. These are the startups that we want to onboard. Course material ये होगा. Get the approval and then ensure that ये सब चीजें हो रही हैं. काम तो eventually government को ही करना है. जो execution का काम है, you are not going to do it, but you are going to be the catalyst. That's why we are saying we are the catalyst. We are not the reaction itself, right? Reactor itself. Yeah.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, thank you for that explanation.
Yeah. Folks, I'll take one last question, and then I think I'm so sorry some of you raised your hands and not able to address. You can hit me on LinkedIn. More than happy to reply, or email, whatever is the best mode for you. So Sagarika, you can go the next and the last question.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and this drive is something like this presentation was amazing. Thank you so much. And my question is that what is the kind of the course eligibility, like it has to be MBA or somebody coming from an entirely the respected background. Like I really like the FLN aspect of because I am a student from education. I have a master's from I've just completed like a day before in masters in arts and education from Tata Institute of Social Science, Mumbai. And I'm coming from a very good college, from a very good exposure, but I'm a fresher. So how would I be able to fit into the roles, like in this situation, like because I have like you asking for design and thinking, you're asking for good communication. So these are like my subjects in my course. So I'm actually at the all the beginners level. So basically, when you recruited in a company, you get the advanced level, you become more proficient, you become more stable and more you get more exposure of this stuff. Like as you mentioned that you're working with the UP government, and like I have worked with the SCRT Haryana and Diet. I work with SCRT Patna. I had the content creation done. Like you will see in my CV when you will go through it, like a lot of aspects you will see. and kind of engagement and
Got it.
exposure I
Yeah.
had. So,
So
but how will I fit into this? Because I would
yeah,
definitely looking for the associate role, the beginners
got
level.
it. Got it.
So,
So,
sir,
Sagar, I got your question. See, first and foremost, Abhi, the current role is only for people with more than 12 months of experience. Right? हम
yeah,
different time frame पे we keep on opening for different archetype of people. कुछ freshers का होता है, कभी 12 months के ऊपर होता है, कभी it is only for emerging leaders. So all of those things keep on happening. So you can apply at the relevant time whenever you are eligible to apply. That is one. But regardless, people come from various backgrounds. There are people who come from law background. There are people who come from TIS Mumbai. There are people who come from engineering background. There are people who come from Ashoka liberal arts. People who come from prior sales background. People who have come from. I was an educator. I was a teacher. Right. So people come from different background. The idea is we're looking at those transferable skills, right, which you
yeah,
may have or have utilized in the previous experiences. Are you
yeah, yeah,
able to kind of do well in the interview, and are you able to then come and perform well as a consultant? Because consulting is an acquired learning that you happen do on the job in most of the times, right? You
exactly,
don't
sir. Yeah,
come in as a consultant, and especially governance consultant. All
yeah,
those things will teach you, but we're looking at whether you have that learning ability and you have that spark in you, that what we call
yeah,
internally
yeah,
is raw smartness. You have that raw smartness which we can जिसको तराश करके आगे आपको बढ़ा सकते हैं.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
sir, should I apply or not? So, just wanted a little bit of
So
clearance.
सागरिका अभी अभी आप रहने दीजिए क्योंकि 12 months के नीचे होगा तो we'll automatically reject it. मतलब maximum
Yeah,
11
yeah,
months
yeah,
तक is what we can make an exception for,
yeah.
but
Thanks.
not below
But,
that.
sir, I just
Yeah.
wanted a clarity because I have a couple of internships, like 3 months, 2 months. So, will be that
Sagrika,
considered?
you can tell me on LinkedIn. We can discuss this there. ठीक है ना?
Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
हाँ,
I have
yeah,
just one query, just I'll not take more time. So I was asking that
yeah.
like qualification is graduation or the post graduation?
Minimum तो graduation ही चाहिए. Nothing more than that is required. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and for the emerging leaders program, like the executive MBA is considered or just a regular MBA?
Executive MBA also is fine, but मतलब वही I am Ahmedabad, I am Bangalore. वहाँ से ही होगा mostly. Right? उस type के
And like
colleges से ही होगा.
FMS,
Yeah,
etc. Yeah, those tier one
yeah,
colleges.
yeah. Should be fine. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
ठीक है. Thanks a lot, everyone. Looking forward to great applications coming our way and seeing a lot of you join us very soon. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Venkatesh.